Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Baron Aedan, Baron of Caer. I'm also a Master of the Order of Defense and a Master of the Pelican. And it is somewhat in those other offices that I want to talk to you about polling awards. There's a lot of confusion or uncertainty or misguided expectations on giving people awards, and especially any order that involves a polling award. Now, the stuff I'm going to talk about is particular to Atlantia, but there are great parallels in any other kingdom in the SCA, especially when you get to the peerage level ones. In Atlantia, the Orders of High Merit, which are grant level awards, the Kraken for armored fighting, the White Scarf for rapier fighting, I'm going to blow this. Equestrian is I'm blanking. Yubo for archery. You have the Golden Dolphin for service. You have the Pearl for arts and sciences. You have the Sea Stag for teaching of combat of all forms, almost all forms. These Orders of High Merit are kingdom level awards, but they are polling awards. So for someone to get that kind of a polling award, first they have to be recognized by the order in general on, hey, this person is worthy. That happens by putting in an award recommendation for them for that thing, which, if they're not on that order's watch list, puts them on the order's electronic watch list, and then encouraging members of the order to talk up this person amongst themselves, whether you want to talk about Lord Joseph or Lady Bethany themselves directly, or if they are in some kind of a student-teacher relationship with someone in that order, that also helps, or if they have friends in that order, that also helps, but is not required. So the order itself will discuss amongst themselves. They have watch lists where they manage, hey, I saw this person at this event and they were in this ANS thing and they did a great job. I saw this person doing this fighting. I saw that, whatever, and they add their contributions. At some point, various gentles will kind of bubble to the top of all the folks that the polling order is watching, and their majesties will decide, we want to take a polling from this order, the Golden Dolphin, the Pearl, the Knight, the Knights, the Laurels, the Pelicans, the whomever, one of the polling orders, and they will direct the principal to put together polling for one or more people in that order. That polling goes out, and there's a window for people to respond where they say yes or no, and they add their commentary. All that is accumulated and gathered together, and there's a deadline on your commentary is needed by this point in time, so it doesn't drag out. And it goes back to their majesties. Their majesties see it as it comes in, but they look at the end, and then they make their determination. Different crowns have their own criteria on what they're looking for from a polling order. Some of them are looking for straight numbers. Hey, I want 60% of the people polled to say yes. I want 80% of the order to respond and say yes. I want this amount, but I want to see a lot of good commentary, and I want to see few or any, not only no, but really no kind of commentary. Each crown has their own personal criteria on what their cutoff is, and then they make their decision. Now comes the really invisible part that people don't see. For virtual events like this, everyone has been asked over and over to indicate online their preference for, are they okay with getting a virtual award or not. But normally it happens in person. For the crowns of Atlantia to give you an award, you have to be at a royal progress where the crowns are. Makes sense. Very rarely, they can do this, but very rarely do they give local baronage permission to give an award in their name. Usually it's the crowns themselves that give it out, especially for peerages, because there's a whole big thing around that with vigils or not, and worthies, and people speaking in the ceremonies and stuff. But even so, I have seen multiple cases where someone was worthy of being inducted into order, the order agreed, they recognized it, the crowns agreed, and something happened, and that person just never made an event where the crowns were at, and then the crowns had to step down. Now, sometimes the crowns can pass that information on to their successors and say, oh, you really should recognize this person with this thing, we hope you agree with us. And sometimes it just doesn't happen, or it happens a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later. So realize that writing someone up for an award is not, placing an order online where you're going to get something automatically. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and the last piece of what happens, especially for polling orders, is the polling has to happen. It has to be time for the polling to be done. The crowns have to make their decision on the polling, and then even if they decide yes and they agree with the polling, the crowns and the person have to get together at the same spot. Sometimes they may go, hey, who's connected to Serafino, who's connected to Joseph, who's connected to Anya, whoever, whatever the person's name is, can you get them to this event? And maybe there'll be some nudging. Usually that jumps into arenas of overly helpful because, hey, we want to keep this a secret, and then 6 helpful people go, hey, are you coming to this event? You really should come to this event, out of the blue. It's like, I haven't talked to you. I don't even know you. Why are you asking me if I'm going to come to this big event? But that's that final step. So polling orders, there's a lot more delay in giving that award out. Now, especially for large events, we do have the ability to do what's called a verbal polling. So if their majesties attend an event, and there's a lot of people at that event, if they go to Pennsic, if they go to in-person Mear or Ruby Joust or War of the Wings or other very large events, they can do a polling of all the members that are there, and if it passes a certain threshold, which is set in Kingdom law, they can do a verbal polling and say, hey everyone, let's talk right now about this person, and here we go. But that's hard to do, to get enough, especially for the very large orders. It's hard to get enough active people together to exceed that threshold to make that polling valid. And that's kind of to prevent folks from saying, hey, there's 3 of us here, what do you think about giving this guy a knighthood or giving that guy a pelican or whatever, and just saying, well, we had a polling, here you go. So there has to be at least some kind of protection there, both good and bad. But so there's a lot more delay and a lot more stuff involved in polling orders, but it starts with make the recommendation, talk to other people in the order. You can go online to the order of precedence and see who is in the order if you're not sure, because it also helps to know, oh, they already have their golden dolphin, never mind. Oh, they already, have whatever. But make that effort, do that thing, and then be patient, because there's a lot of delays, and even if the crown say, yes, we want to make this person a member of this polling order, that person then has to be in the same place as the king and queen so that can happen. So thank you very much. If you have questions, ask people that you know, especially someone that's already in the polling order, and help get your friends recognized.